It's all that talk about being all nice and warmed up, and I'm just like, wait, well, I'm not ready. Which one's my camera? That one?
Do I make you nervous?
Yeah, get it together, bud.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Bottom of the Bill. We have Sailor Jane on with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome.
Really appreciate it. Making the drive. You said you're like down in Palm Coast, close
That's
to
an easy way of saying Crescent Beach.
Crescent Beach. Okay.
Almost.
Where's that, like in between Palm Coast and Saint Augustine?
It's still considered Saint Augustine, but it's south of Saint Augustine, so just before like Marineland, Palm Coast
Okay.
area.
You like it out there?
I love it.
Is it like small town kind of thing, or is it like?
Yeah, there's not very many people that live down there. It's mostly like second homeowners and snowbirds that come down, so it's like really quiet most of the time.
Nice.
So I like to retreat there and stay away from traffic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Get all the hustle and bustle of downtown St. Augustine during the holidays is no joke. That shit sucks. All right, so you're a singer, songwriter, talent buyer. You're a nurse. You're a single mom wearing all these crazy hats. How do you manage your time?
I sleep maybe 4 hours a day.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah, this is the rest of it's just flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah. What's your background? Like, what do you come from? Where do you come from musically?
So musically, I grew up in church in Jacksonville, basically, so choir. And then my papa owned gospel radio stations all over Florida. So I grew up basically, my mom was a DJ on that radio station. So she would do brunch time gospel was her show. So she would do, I think it was like every day from 11 to 12 or something like that. She'd have an hour show where she would play gospel music and select. So I'd be like in there with her when I was little doing that and listening to music. And they'd also have, this is like Southern gospel. So they would have these traveling a cappella groups come through, like 4-part harmony, traveling,
Wow.
like gospel groups. So I just remember like hearing that as being, that was really like the biggest musical influence, which is weird because I don't sing harmonies at all. You would think that I do.
You don't do harmonies at all?
I'm working on it, but it's not my strength.
Why do you think you didn't take
I don't
to
know.
that?
I actually just put that 2 and 2 together. That's interesting that I don't.
So do you feel like you have it's almost like a fuck you, I'm not learning harmonies because of the church thing?
No, I don't think that at all. Actually, I think the music was the best part about church. I don't have a negative association with that. I don't know. I think that's interesting. I actually never thought about it. I think I've always just sang lead. I've always just been like thinking of melodies and lead lines. I can sing harmonies if you tell me what to do. And, I think that I just don't have a strong enough music theory background to build correct harmonies. I can sing harmony, but it's not always like a correct traditional harmony.
I feel you. I was listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers recently and talk about somebody who does harmonies that are just like way
Different?
like John Frusciante just is like doesn't have doesn't care at all. He's just like, I'm gonna sing whatever I think sounds good over this thing.
I kind of think that's cool, actually.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I took note of it and I was like, this is a guy who has no real musical training outside of whatever the producer told him in the studio, and he's just going for it, and it sounds so good, and it's also what adds to the unique style and sound that they have.
I think that's actually really interesting because a lot of musicians that I work with are trained, and I find myself a lot of times when playing or practicing feeling like if something is not quite right or off, it's like I automatically blame myself because I don't have as much theoretical background. And just starting to learn that like maybe if it's not something that fits in the box, that is taught, I guess. It might not fit in the box, but that doesn't mean it's not bad or it's not good, I'm sorry, or that it is bad.
Right.
It might just be more interesting, like if you think about different cultures and countries that have different melodies or different scales that they build their melodies off of.
Totally.
Wouldn't necessarily fit in that box either, but they sound really cool.
For
and
sure.
Interesting, yeah.
Especially in like Eastern music where there's a lot of these like micro and quarter tones that are happening that you don't really get in Western music. So there's all kinds of like things you can do with that. But I just think it's there's definitely an advantage to knowing theoretically what's happening, but it's also it can be stifling creatively if you rely solely on that to map out the process.
Yeah, it's probably good to have like both, have a team working where we have kind of both of those things happening.
Definitely, yeah. So you have a few projects that you're working on right now, right? You have a GoFundMe that you're trying to get going for a project you can't fully divulge the information on, but can you give us a little bit of an idea of what it's about?
So that project, it's going to be a tribute album, and that's really all I can't say is like who the artist that we're tributing is. But it's somebody who I really, really like a lot.
Can we do like 20 questions?
Sure.
Alive or
let's do
dead?
it. I don't know.
Sorry, it's not 20 questions. I need a yes, no. No, whatever, sorry.
So yeah, I'll be working with a producer named Michael Goldwasser, who is really good at doing this type of work. It'll be a reggae dub tribute album of an artist. I'm really excited about that, but I don't have too much information to give about that right now. So,
Do you have like a timeline of when you're looking to put it out or get it done
we're working on arrangements right now and tracking most likely this summer. So,
by? Where are you gonna be tracking at?
in New York.
New York. Okay, cool. Do you know the studio by
No.
any chance? No. Okay. Or do you know it? You're just not allowed to say.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. Okay.
I'll actually be there next week or the week after to find out a little bit more details. So, but I don't know right now what studio.
I mean, pretty much anything that you're gonna do up there is gonna be awesome. That's pretty
Yeah, I
much,
mean,
like,
I
the
have a
thing.
feeling the musicians are all going to be pretty top notch, and it's a really exciting project. I'm pretty stoked. There's a, I'm learning a lot. Also, the interesting thing about this project is there could have been the option to have a label fit the bill for it, basically. And in that situation, I wouldn't own anything, and I would be more of a hired singer in that situation. Um, this situation offers me the opportunity to own the masters and then shop to a label maybe once the product is done, which is I'm confident it's going to be banging. So there's talk about doing sync licensing for film, and that's something that I know nothing about, and I'm starting to read up on. And I was actually hoping to talk to you about, see if you had any kind of like experience in that realm or knew anything about that.
Very.
This is like dream though to get on. Well, we say sync licensing. You mean like
for movies and
what does that
commercials
stand for? Anything? Not stand for. It's short for something though. Like I thought it was like syndication or something like that.
That is what it sounds for, I think.
Right?
I mean, I would imagine so. I just know it as sync licensing. So
okay, whatever.
I think that means the same thing.
I think so. I don't know.
That's what sync stands for, I think.
Yeah, so I know I have a very small, a very tiny amount of experience with it. The singer in my dad's band does a lot of that kind of stuff, and he was using a third party called Taxi, which I think something like 3% of the people that sign up with Taxi end up getting like real offers for that kind of stuff. So, anyways, he got an offer and then was able to make the direct connection with the company that bought the rights to his music. So he's been able to get steady work like that. So he has like songs and movies, and I know he gets royalty checks like quarterly for that kind of stuff. I don't know how much they're for. And there was one opportunity where, he's been writing music and recording music since like the 70s. So there was one opportunity where a movie needed music that sounded like it was from the 80s, but I guess they couldn't really afford like the actual licensing rights to like big songs. So they put like an ad out there for it, and Billy is the guy's name, Billy Livesey. He sent in the submission and got it. They paid him like 10 grand or something for all of like his catalog.
I think that's the appeal, and why this producer's thinking that might be a good avenue is because it is a tribute album, so it's a cover album essentially. Movies, it would be a pretty high bill to get these original records on a movie score, just based on who the artist is. So to do covers with a similar sound is actually advantageous to sync licensing.
So are you guys have to still buy the rights to record the music, right?
So he's an expert at it. He's done many of these types of albums. If you look at like the Easy Star All Stars, that's a band that does Dub Side of the Moon. They've done
Right.
Radio Dread, Thrilla, all of these like reggae dub versions of records. It's the same producer.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's not an easy All Stars record release. I'm going to be doing this independently and owning this independently. So that's really awesome. But he's familiar with that process, and hopefully I'll learn a lot through this experience. But from what I understand, you know, the publishing is actually split between the label, and in this case, the label is Sony, and the artist who we're covering. So the publishing pot, and I'm just learning about all this stuff. This is like getting a grip on it, because I think it's like anything, like as soon as you fully understand it, because a lot of people will walk around and act like they know what they're talking about with this stuff, and not very many people really fully understand it, because you could tell when you start asking somebody to explain it to you, and you know, it's complicated, but I think if you really do fully understand it, that's when you'll start making money.
Yeah.
Because just like anything, like if you're a smart person and you fully understand a process, then you learn how to make that process work for you.
Totally.
Right? So I kind of feel like that's where I'm at. And one of the reasons I'm really excited about this project and to work with some of these people who do know what they're talking about. Because as soon as I get a grip on it, trust me, I'm going to come share the knowledge and we're going to make money.
Hell yeah. I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
It's just a strategy. Once you figure it out, it's obtainable. So the way I think it works is, so publishing, you know, usually the publishing company will take a percentage, and I think a standard is like 20%, and the artist gets 80%. That's experience that I've had.
Of the publishing?
Yeah, so I've released other tunes with labels where they took 20% of the publishing, and then I get the rest of the 80%.
That's a pretty insane.
That's a large
deal.
amount.
That's
you think?
A large amount. Like
to go to the in
the
the favor
artist.
of
Yeah, to the artist. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking too. I figured they would just take all of it since they wrote it or whatever.
Depends on the deal, I think.
So I did one, and they took 20, whatever. But they also didn't do much for me. So I think that also depends on like the marketing side of things, like what kind of campaign is there lined up for marketing, because it's in their advantage to push it if they own the publishing, right? They want it to be.
It's where all the money's at, is the publishing. So typically what'll happen if they're doing like a full distribution deal on it, then they'll probably take all of the publishing. And I don't really know how it works once like where the writer split comes in, but I know that it's split up in two ways. You have the writing credits on it, then you have the who owns the publishing on it. And you can have a publishing company and you can be a writer with ASCAP or BMI, whoever, or CSAC, whoever, and then you can own all of the writing and then all of the publishing.
Right.
But if you don't have the distribution and you don't have the resources to get the music heard,
it's pointless.
It does yeah, exactly.
Right. And the publisher is also responsible for getting you paid.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super important. But the way it seems like is there's two buckets. There's a 100% bucket here and a 100% bucket here. This is a publishing bucket, and this is the writing performance bucket.
Right.
And so the producer and the art and the writer usually split somewhere in here, right? And then the publishing is over here. And then there's another thing, which is ownership of the masters.
Okay.
And that's essentially the product that you would sync license.
Okay.
Right? That's like the tangible product in the end, the masters. So, and you can do whatever you want with that if you own it.
Right.
If you don't own it, then you're kind of screwed. So I think that is really important. And when you get on with different labels and stuff, I think that's one area where people get screwed.
Yeah, they don't own the rights to the music, you know, and it gets real
to the masters.
To the masters. So is there there's a separation between the masters and the music
so
itself?
I think credits, right, through BMI ASCAP, so splitting credits, like where it's like the writer and then you split with your producer or whatever, whoever's involved in writing. That's like royalties that you get paid on over time through streaming, and anytime it's played anywhere, you want a strong publisher to help you collect that money, obviously, and get it out. But I think that there's another pot by way of the masters, and that is what gets sync licensed.
Okay.
Or sold.
Right.
To someone else, right?
So is it just...
Because if I sync license the music to a movie score and I sell that exclusively to them, now they have that for their movie or whatever, it's still going to be able to stream on all these other platforms. I'm still going to be able to generate royalty revenue and on that low scale level, but like that's a separate pot that I now have control. I also would have control to merchandise. I would have control to tour it. Like that's a product.
Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So what does publishing cash in on then? Like, how do they make money?
It's a a good question.
Yeah, okay. I'm
So-
very confused about that.
That's why I prefaced this with I know nothing about this and I'm learning. So this is how I understand it right now, but
I know the publishing is basically the people that are getting, like you were saying, the people that are getting your music heard. Like that's what it is. So it's like when you're like music managers and people like that. Like if you want placement in like a movie, or if you want placement in playlists, like whatever it is, they're basically exposing your music to companies that are gonna basically pay you to use it.
I need a flow chart.
Yeah.
And then they also, I think they go after your money, basically. Like, basically, they collect
For you, yeah.
for you. You know what I mean?
That's what ASCAP and BMI do as a whole. Yeah.
Right.
Like they keep tabs on where it's getting played and who's played. That's why the bars pay, $1,200 a year or whatever it is to
to have a license.
to have a license. So they just like a lump
So are
sum.
they
that
publishers?
They're not publishers. They're paying the publishers.
I'm out.
Right? Or they're paying
I thought I had
ASCAP
it.
and BMI who are paying the publishers.
Okay.
You know what? I just went to this songwriters festival recently, and this guy told me something that was really interesting. I did not know that you can, if you have original music, you can basically like report that when you play it out
Yeah.
at venues.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I'm not sure how much you're going to get paid, but basically, for example, Prohibition Kitchen has a license, right,
Mhm.
through ASCAP to allow people to play music in their venue, basically covered music. So because I have a band and I play some of my original music, that counts because it's released music and registered through BMI in my case. But I could, be reporting hours that I've played my original music at Prohibition Kitchen, and basically PK is paying that license. They're paying X amount of dollars a year for the use of the music. So if nobody's collecting on that, then it's money sitting in the pot. So we should all be collecting on music when we play original music in venues. 'Cause that's
Yeah.
part of
Part
our
of the
money.
thing.
That's my money.
Yeah, it's literally just like you're saying.
It might be just a couple pennies, but it's still my
something.
That's
it's
what
owed
I'm
to you.
curious about, what the rate is, because couldn't I just like pay for BMI and then just like let my original music just play nonstop somewhere, and then just be like, collect the money?
Somebody's got to pay that license, and the license.
I would
is
pay the
like
license. So, you know what I mean?
I mean, I know. I think it depends on how many days a week or whatever you have live music, but I mean, it's a couple $1,000s a year,
And the cap of the room too, I think.
and the
has-
cap of the room. Yeah. But what happens if nobody ever collects on a venue? Where does that money go?
If nobody clicks on the venue, I think it just literally sits there, and whoever the agency is that collects the royalties is just taking it, and it's like, if you're not going to take it, we're going to take it. Because I mean,
Right.
how many bands out there that don't know about that? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And something that's something else my dad's band does is they fill out all that paperwork and they do it, and he was telling me it's not very much money and you get paid quarterly for it. And like we don't play our originals out at the bars, so like we haven't done it. But I mean, for as often as we do go out on the road and play these songs, I mean, I can't imagine the juice is worth the squeeze right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the process is. Just a matter of filling out like a sheet of paper, I think,
Mhm.
and then putting it in, and they decide how much you get paid for it.
I was gonna say, stick with me on this one. But you think about like a place that has 2 stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can. What was the name of the Plush used to have 2 stages over here in Jacksonville. Do they have to pay 2 licensings or just 1?
I don't know the
Okay,
answer.
here's
to
the
that.
thing. So how many stages can we get? And then how many speakers can I get playing my song over and over again?
Well,
I'm just trying to say, what's the math on it?
What are you trying? But
Run the numbers, boys, real quick, and we'll see if I get any money on playing 100 speakers of my song on repeat 24 hours a day.
Well, you just get paid per stream at that point. That's all it is.
That's all I'm saying. No, the answer is no.
Nope. That's
It's
the
an
answer.
astounding nope.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a lot of money.
No.
But I think the point is, like, even if you went through it one time, I think, like we were saying before, the point is just to understand the way the industry works.
Right.
So that you can figure out, obviously, there are people that make money in this industry.
Yeah.
And there are people that don't have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I'm
totally.
sorry to say, but there are making a lot of money. So there must be another element in there, and it's probably got more to do with understanding the business,
100%. Yeah. Or
And-
like having the infrastructure of people that do understand it. And that's the thing that we were just talking about this earlier with our previous guests, that the lack of industry as far as the music goes in Florida just as a whole, you're not exposed to those opportunities in the same way. So the education of how to actually navigate the music industry is not really here.
Right.
So it's on us to kind of figure out how to navigate it and then figure it out. So like if you're out in LA or New York or Nashville or something, then you can surround yourself with people that know how this works. If you're not, then you have to learn it all yourself and hopefully compete,
I say we should probably do this again in like 3 months.
Yeah, like
see
circle back
if we
the
can
conversation.
circle back. Yeah, because I've taken it on myself to really study and learn this stuff over the next few months.
Could you bring a flow chart next time?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm a visual
learner.
learner.
Can I have a pointer?
Absolutely.
And we can put it up here and we can...
Like a laser pointer or like old school?
Sure.
We
Old
can't-
school
well,
is my preference.
That's what
We can't cover that
too.
poster though.
Yardstick
my
would be
name
better.
Really
You
big.
could.
You can't cover that poster.
Smack you with it.
Don't be weird.
Okay. Try real hard. Sorry.
But yeah, I would love to know all the ins and outs of it. But the more we talk about it, the more confused I get.
Yeah.
If I could just have like a permanent, like, just put it on the wall right here. Here's how you make money, musician.
There's no way that's ever gonna happen.
Why not?
Because it's not that. It's so complicated. The
Flowchart.
The side that I've got.
You've seen the food pyramid before, right?
Yeah.
How many servings do you
failed
have of
nutrition.
grains?
Isn't everyone obese in our country?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The side of it that I really got into, I've done a little bit of reading on that side of it. The side of it that I really got into more is like the marketing and the PR side, because that to me is the most obtainable thing. I have the most control over that right now. So the social media stuff and the like how to use those platforms for ad campaigns, and learning about the cycles and how to promote, when to promote, what kind of content you need, how to create that content. That's the kind of stuff that I've been really honing in on over the last year or so, and even especially now, like just even further down the rabbit hole. So I definitely need to get more into the music licensing side of it. I just haven't seen the return on the album stuff that we've done, so I just get very unmotivated to do it.
Yeah, I think that really the only way you can get a return on music is to tour it.
Yeah, which is we've done a lot of like regional touring and stuff, but just with COVID right now, not gonna happen. So I think we're definitely reevaluating how we're gonna get the name out there. I think the content and building the brand online, picking your markets of where you want to advertise it, seeing where it's working, where it's not, and structuring tours around the data is going to be the best way to do
It's
it.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's just nonstop fun.
And it just rarely
you
involves
figure
playing.
that out, and I'll figure the other stuff out.
And then there it goes.
Yeah.
You create a whole label right here in North Florida.
Well, I think that should have happened a long time ago. I mean, we have so much talent here. We have the School of the Arts. We have UNF. We have serious just talent everywhere, and
Limp
nobody knows.
I was gonna say,
We have
does
Limp
he have a-
Bizkit.
does he have a-
Shinedown.
Shinedown's nice.
Shinedown.
Shinedown's great. So man. But I was gonna say, does Limp Bizkit have a label out here?
No,
There's
they're
no labels.
based out of LA
Mm.
now anyways. But we could talk about it off air, so I don't want to talk too much about it on air. But there's a lot of things that we have in the works on this end of it too. So, but yeah, it's all very exciting.
So many secrets today.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like this whole podcast has just been talking about what we can't talk about. It's just like, so this is going on, but we can't fully disclose what's happening.
Yeah, I was about
here.
to. Is the artist that you're doing the tribute for, and you're going to do a reggae sort of dub version of it? Are they a reggae / dub? Would that be very strange? To
There
some
are
people?
clues
I know.
in the names of the albums that would lend to that. That music wants to be reggae. Let's just say that, but it's not.
Let's sit here and really think about this one for a second.
Is it Sublime?
Billy's like dead
No, I'm just
serious.
kidding. No,
I'm doing a reggae dub tribute to Sublime.
Yeah.
You know, at least someone's finally doing it. I gotta, congratulate you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's the original project that you're working on?
So I've just been writing music basically my whole life, and I've been releasing singles, which I think is what everybody's been doing lately. But I think my next goal is to release an album. So while I'm working on this tribute project, which hopefully will get a nice push and bigger platform than what I have by myself, just based on who I'm working with, I'd like to release an original album to follow it. So along the way, I'm just continuing to track. I have a studio set up in my house now. So that's really cool. I'm able to track in my house with quality sound, whereas before I've been reliant on going to studios.
Yeah.
So I did do a little bit of an upgrade this year so that I could have the capability of doing that. But on that project, I'm working with a couple different producers. One of them's name's Paris Lamont. He's based out of Jamaica. He's an incredible musician. He tours with Protege as a keyboard player. And he's connected with the music scene in Jamaica. So like the last single that I released, all of those players were based in Jamaica. I never met any of them. So we're all like file sharing.
Nice.
And he's collecting files from musicians who I've never even met before. But we've been I think we have like 3 tracks now that we've done together, and the sound is great.
What's the communication process like? Are you telling them what you don't and do like, and then having them kind of readjust?
So basically, Paris and I are working really closely. I'm writing all of the lyrics and melodies to the music. We FaceTime. I'll send him a melody. He'll write it out on the piano. Then we'll get a basic idea of the structure of the song. Then I'll go and scratch vocals, and then we'll listen to it and be like, okay, well, this is going to need a bass line next. We send it to the bass player. And these are musicians that are just super talented and familiar with the genre, and they hear it one time and they know exactly what to put on there. They might do 2 passes, with a little bit of feedback, but communicating through WhatsApp, basically doing file sharing through WeTransfer, and working with people who know the genre really well.
That makes all the difference.
Yeah.
You don't have to like nitpick and explain to them how things work.
No, and I mean, what I've realized is that I think that I know this is true in reggae music. It might not be so true in other genres, but I have a feeling it is, that the circle is actually really small. Once you realize that, everyone knows everybody, first of all, so you treat people really nicely all the time.
Yeah.
But also, just about anyone is accessible. So even like somebody that you hear on a record and you're like, oh my God, he's the best bass player, blah, blah, blah. It's interesting the way that media portrays bands and people in bands as this like unaccessible person who's, unreachable basically. But with social media and networking and the way things are right now, just about anybody is accessible. And just reach out and ask them to play on your record. And
Totally.
They might do it, especially in 2020 when people were not touring. It was like anybody the first pick on like, I want this bass player on this track within a genre, musicians in a genre. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
It's pretty wild how accessible they all are. Are you familiar with Joe Marcinek?
No.
He's a good friend of ours. We backed him up on a little run through Florida a few years ago, and he's like a jazz funk kind of genre, and he puts all these like records together. He like hires George Porter from the Meters and like all these like who else did he have?
He had Bernie Worrell.
Bernie Worrell on there. He had what's his name from the Grateful Dead?
Which one?
Not O'Teal, but
John.
yes, O'Teal also. Was that who's a keys player? Yeah. All these like he gets all these huge names, and I asked him about how he did that, and he's just like, I don't know, man, you'd be surprised. You just reach out and see what happens.
It's crazy.
He had the bass player from the Revivalist playing with him on just like a couple of bar gigs, and I was like, how did you do that? It's like I don't know, man. You just give them a call. And
they're just people too.
Yeah. And when you told me that, because that put all this stuff in my head to start reaching out for features in the next album and all that stuff.
100%. I highly support that. And it's like, it's weird. I think that is the case with a lot of things in life. Really, people just get it in their head that something is not possible, like making money in the music industry. And it actually is. You just have to understand how to use it. You know what I mean? Like how to use it in your favor, period. You know what I mean? Like if what you want to do is make albums, but then figure out how to make them make you money. So do what you want to do and then understand it well, sell it to a movie, make your money back, and make your album. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it is that. It's, I mean, like the idea that there's all these obstacles and that, oh, no one ever is successful playing music and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's just shit that you tell yourself to avoid doing the work, you know? And I don't know, like and again, it's so easy in these scenes, in these smaller scenes, to get caught up in the pitfalls of the bar scene and all that, because it's quick, easy money. You know, it's like, it doesn't take much creative effort. You just learn some tunes, not to disparage the grind of the bar scene. It's hard, and learning music is not easy, but at the end of the day, it's not really the entertainment industry. We're talking of just another branch of the service industry.
100%.
If you want to like expand beyond that, you have to do the work and really understand that every artist and musician is in business for themselves in the industry. Figure out how to monetize your skill in a way that's creative and fulfilling for you, you know? So that's what I'm all about anyways.
You got figured out yet?
Nope. Working on it. Definitely working on it.
Groundwork all day.
Yeah, it's the name of our new side project.
Yeah.
Not side hustle.
No. It was called Groundwork, and we just have meetings about the next meeting.
Oh, that sounds like every day for me.
Yeah. That's literally what our life has been like the last month or two. It's just been meetings and meetings about the next thing that's going on. It's really exciting.
You know what I find interesting, and I thought that the name of your podcast was interesting too. What is it? Bottom of the bill. You know what I notice a lot of times is there's just like, as a female, and not to like pull the female card, but it's like, why are there not more women in this industry and on these bills? What do you think? I know you're the interviewer, but
no, I mean, that's a good question.
We're just talking. It's been a male-dominated industry forever and ever, I feel like.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean,
I think
I'd rather not say my answer like on camera, but
this is the podcast of secrets.
Yeah, exactly. No. So here's what I'll say. I've worked with a lot of female artists over the years. Okay, and there's
how many?
Enough to have not possibly. It's unfortunate to have a skewed perspective of the situation, but what you notice a lot is that there's a lack of, at least in the particular scenarios that I was in, a lack of leadership and a lack of knowing exactly what you wanted and how you want it to be. And when you don't, like we were talking about with the
Hold on, do you mean musically?
In all of it, the business and musically, you know. And I understand that there's a dynamic there, right? So like if you're a woman and you're fronting a band of all guys, right? It can be difficult to I don't know, to steer the ship sometimes, because it's a lot of personalities, it's a lot of testosterone, there's a lot of things that, you know, get in the way or that could possibly affect that kind of stuff. But what I've noticed is that if you don't have that direction and you're not steering the ship, that it's like a bunch of cats just roaming around and nothing ends up happening. You end up staying exactly where you're at. Not to say that there's not a lot of very strong female front women out there that can handle the job. Obviously there are, and there's proven to see it with the headliners on festivals. But I think the reason why you don't see more of it is just because of the experiences that I've had anyways, that it might not be as obvious how to get to the end result, you know, with that dynamic, you know.
That's interesting.
I think kind of more is just like there's been women have been pigeonholed into being like, oh, you're a female musician, so obviously you're a singer, and there's not been a lot of different like female musicians. Whenever you see a female musician who's an instrumentalist or anything like that, it's not that it's out of place by any means, but it's just like I don't know how to really put it. Not unusual either, but it's it's different.
Yeah,
And I don't
that
know.
could be
I
a
don't
thing,
know. I
too.
don't know why that is, but there is like some connotation with it.
What do you think?
I think it's multi-layered. First of all, I think it's interesting that bands assume the lead singer is leader of the band,
Mm-hmm.
first of all. So when you are talking about female singers and then connecting that to them being the leader of the band and steering the ship, I think that might be a mistake. But I think that's a mistake made by all male bands also. Not always is the lead singer of the band the person who should be steering the ship.
Right, totally.
So I think that point, I can see that maybe being displayed more so in a female-fronted band, because if a female is trying to lead a group and maybe she doesn't have the skills needed, I think she's going to be quicker disrespected or thrown to the
Yeah.
side than if it's a guy that's sitting here trying to lead and might not know what he's talking about, first of all. I'm a female and I've been in bands, and I don't think that I've personally been disrespected, and I don't mean to say that at all, but I could see how that could happen.
Totally.
But I'm also a female that's singing lead, and I'm the first to say that my band should have a musical director. Somebody else making the decisions when it comes to like musical arrangement, because they probably have more knowledge in that area, right?
Right. But you make that decision though, right? Like you make that call because you know that you're
Yeah.
aware.
Right.
And like that's the thing that I think that especially when it's younger people.
Okay, but I'm going to stop you there. And I hear that point. You're saying that girls don't really do that. But what I see is like bands falling on these lineups that don't have together at all.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And so like how, you know what I mean? It's like irrelevant whether or not it's a female up there flailing or not. It's
No.
just like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's like the
good old boy kind of
like
society.
the boy club. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not that all these guys are doing so much of a better job.
course
It's
not.
just that they're boys. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They're bros. So it's like I'm gonna put my bro on the lineup, and then I think that's like really unfortunate because there is. I mean, I know because I book a venue, and I'm not saying even specifically just women in general are left out, but there's several super talented bands, regardless of, you know, gender, that are being left out and overlooked. And like, why not like actually like branch out and look for new, fresh, raw talent and give them an opportunity? That's what I don't see a lot of, and I don't really understand how that could be sustainable or successful, because you know, you see a lot of the same tours coming through and the same festivals, and it's like you've seen these bands a million times. It's not interesting, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a big thing about Florida as well. It's a very safe market.
Yeah.
So they're not really willing to take a lot of risks on new things. So you don't see a lot of you don't see a lot of up and coming bands coming out on the festival stuff, or a lot of tours that where there might be like a breakout artist
Uh-huh.
in bigger markets, but it's just not hitting here in Florida.
Yeah.
And it has to be something that I think is tried, market tested, and approved in every other market before Florida's like, okay, we're good. I think we can have you down here now,
Right.
type thing, you know?
I actually did a breakout artist slot at Reggae Rise Up a few years ago.
Really?
They did a lot, you know, the lineup had already been built, and then they did a new artist kind of like contest. It was vote based. And I guess like all of Florida votes, and whoever got the most votes ended up on the bill.
And you got that?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. What
Yeah,
was
good
that
for you.
experience like?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we had 1,000 people sitting there at our set, which was amazing, you know?
That's awesome.
But I would have never gotten that opportunity if it weren't for, you know, allowing people to speak. So maybe that is something that some of these local festivals could do, is like allow for like a breakout artist on the lineup for some of these festivals, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Have their supporters vote them in.
I have so many opinions on what some of these promoters should do for festivals, and I think that some of it's just like keeping your ear to the ground and understanding like really watching who's doing what and how they're doing it. Like you're saying, a lot of it is like, well, this is just my friends, I'm going to put them on the bill, and that's a terrible business model.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not totally against that idea if your friend has a viable product, you know.
Right.
But like if your friend is just like somebody that doesn't really have anything going on and it's just like whatever, and then you're putting them on festivals when there's other bands that are working really hard and doing everything the right way, at least on paper, and they're not getting the opportunities. That is a huge blow to the morale of the scene, I think, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't allow for the scene to evolve because those artists that are working really hard are the ones that may actually be successful.
Exactly.
And you're actually like preventing anyone from coming out of this region
And then
by doing that.
Exactly. And then furthermore, it's like then the bands that do become successful don't want to work in this region anymore.
Right.
It's like, well, you didn't get, like, you're not the ones that gave us our opportunity. Actually, these people up in this area gave us our opportunity. So we're
Right.
gonna go ahead and explore this market some, and fuck you guys.
Yeah,
Right.
You know?
it's kind of like some sort of like capitalist society.
Don't get me started, bro.
Instead of
Nope.
social democracy we could all have.
Don't get me going down that rabbit hole.
It is true. I don't know what quote it was, whatever about if you work real hard your whole life, you still can fail.
Yeah, totally.
And that does suck. It's the nepotism and who you know that sometimes gets you on festivals and be in the right place in the right time. I don't really know how to change that either.
I don't think that
What are you gonna do?
I don't think that ever stops at
Except
any
for like
level.
boycott going to festivals, like we want new music or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that the idea of getting a label going here would be actually a really great move in the right direction, because if you've got the right minds behind that with a goal of like developing artists and maybe some artist management and representation, then you might be able to make some of that change.
Totally. You can bypass whatever current gatekeepers are here, you know,
Yeah.
and
Or even by way of maybe not necessarily bypassing, but partnering with whatever gatekeepers, you know, and it's like this exchange. We get like 5 slots on the bill or whatever for an exchange of this or what. It's just like figuring out a way to partner with them and then using your best judgment to develop artists to put them where they need to be.
right.
And that's a win-win also, because if you're, you know, if you've got a label going and you've got artists on label, you want them to be successful. That's in your best interest also. So it's kind of like, we just need to be a little bit more. I think everybody's out for themselves a lot is the attitude with a lot of people.
Totally.
And it's like, I get that everybody wants to succeed and I see where that's coming from. But I think one thing that I have learned, actually not anywhere in the music business and other endeavors, that like if you can learn to partner with people, right, that have already got something figured out, like we don't have to all do this, we don't all have to do everything ourselves, right? That costs a lot of money and wastes all of your energy. But like if you're really good at like figuring out who to partner with and make it like a community collaboration, then it's just going to be more successful.
Totally.
And you're keeping each other's interest in mind instead of just like one man for himself, you know?
And yeah, and thinking about like what you can bring to the table, you know,
Right.
that's a big thing that I think a lot of people don't think about. It's like you're saying, it's always about like, well, what can be done for me? Like what can I do to get ahead? And it's like people are much more willing to help you when they know that you can help yourself also, you know, and then in turn help them. So the idea is that you want to partner with people. Just basically, I'm just reiterating what you're already saying. You want to partner with people, and you want to make sure that you have something to offer that they, in an area that they either might be lacking or where they see the potential for growth, right? So, like, we've been very lucky in surrounding ourselves with people that have bought into our vision and have been supportive in a lot of different ways. And that's how I've learned about how to grow like your enterprise and really make it like an entire, I mean, I say it a lot as a joke, but it's kind of also being serious, like an empire, you know, like you want to build your infrastructure, you want to have everything covered, you want to work with people that are going to help you do the thing. And in turn, you help them get to where they want to be too. You build the scene, you build the community, and ultimately the industry and all that follows, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's kind of strange thinking about like festival lineups, like at the bottom of the bill, that, you know, maybe there's like 10 bands you've never heard of, and you're just like, all the big headliners on top. That's what's bringing all these people. Why are they even putting these 10 people on here? They're just losing money on it. It's not like the people that were gonna come to this festival are not gonna come because the little bands on the bottom are on. You know what I mean?
be curious.
I don't know. I disagree with that.
All right.
So, for example, and we're just gonna like bash some names right now,
Let's
and these
do
are
it.
like not local people, so I'm not worried about it. But and we're just gonna go back to the reggae scene, right? You see these lineups all the time, which is really what I've been talking about, not necessarily local, although I do know it happens on a local level for sure. But you'll see, a headliner like Revolution all the time on every reggae festival, every cruise, everything, right? Revolution is a band full of American guys from the West Coast, right? And every time they're coming through, Florida here soon, it's like, who's the headliner? Revolution. Who's the support down the line? Steel Pulse.
Right. I've
You
seen
know
that.
what I
It's
mean? Like,
ridiculous.
how does that make sense? Steel Pulse is like a legendary reggae band, authentic reggae band, from Jamaica, and they're been around for forever, and they're supporting Revolution, who is this like white boy West Coast reggae band from California or whatever, and it's like
which basically just took everything from Steel Pulse and the bands that came before.
100%, like,
So it's just like the irony in that.
But do you think,
so I would I'm not gonna say I would never, but I would be very unlikely to go to just like a Revolution show, just because number one, I've seen them before, and number two, it's just they're not my favorite band. But would I go see Steel Pulse all day?
Yeah, totally.
And then
but could Steel Pulse pull that many people as Revolution?
Not
can?
as many as Revolution will, but they'll pull a demographic that they might not otherwise be pulling. But the difference being, I think that like what you're talking about versus what you're talking about is that you're talking about like a direct support act, whereas you're talking about like a festival of like 60 bands.
That's kind of what I thought you were talking about. Sorry.
It's almost I guess
now I
is
get what you're saying
I guess
for sure.
that is different, but in the direct support, it's almost like they got Steel Pulse on to make them look cooler or more legit, or to like legitimize their existence in some way or authenticate it. You know what I mean? Which I think is really whack, honestly.
Yeah,
and
totally.
But like I guess that is different than what you were saying. But in the same instance, like a lot of the same you see the same headliners on these festivals over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And no, I wouldn't go see that same festival over. I don't care how big they are. I've seen them. Okay, cool. I've seen them 5 times. Whatever. Who's on the bottom?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like who's new? Who's coming up? Which is why I think that bottom of the bill, whatever, is actually really important.
We're the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what we see, and that's all
really
we've
important.
seen.
So it would be really cool to have some sort of like partnership with a festival promoter where you did some bottom of the bill exchange, right? So
Trust me,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think that and you could even have maybe we shouldn't be talking about this on camera because I just had a really good idea.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about that. Hold on, I'm gonna write down a good idea on my notepad.
Here, let me write something down there for you.
Yeah, but you could do like a showcase or whatever when everybody come into town. It's like, and then bottom of the bill presents. Yeah.
There's been a lot of.
I don't know if that's what you were thinking. Was that what you were thinking about? Okay, we're not gonna talk about it.
But yeah, I mean, I'd be curious about what you're talking about though with the like what the purpose of having a lot of the smaller, like if you have like 20 bands
just from a numbers and business aspect.
No,
that's all I'm talking about.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Not
emotional. No, of course. But I'm
probably local support.
Local support.
Most of them are probably living in the general region. If they're that small, they're not getting paid much, can't travel far. So they're pulling 10, 15, 20 friends who might pull a person with them. So now you got 50, 60 each,
Right. I'm also curious as to whether or not they want to report a higher spending amount so they can justify getting more money from investors the following year to pull in bigger.
They don't spend much on them. I mean,
right?
Yeah, usually they just give you tickets to sell.
Well, sometimes they'll give you like, if you're at the bottom of the bill, you can get anywhere from a couple $100 to, depending on the size of the festival, like $1,000 or more. So when you have like 20 bands operating at that level that are getting similar deals, I mean, we're talking between $5,000-$10,000 in overhead. That if you don't report spending that, you might not get the same amount of money from investors the next year to pay for bigger headliners. I kind of get what you're saying,
but you could do that.
I could be way off base. I'm just thinking.
You could do that with like another beer tent, though. You don't have to.
Yeah,
or
true.
It might be the time in which they need to fill. So if
Right.
it's a 3-day festival, they can't spend 10 grand on every band for 3 days, you
Right.
know, so they're going to find the bottom of the bill bands to come in,
All right.
take up some of that time.
Well, that makes
That's
more
true.
sense.
Yeah, that
I
does
like
make
I
more
like
sense.
that
Yeah.
that explanation more.
Yeah, I'm just always thinking about
Or
like
maybe
the,
they just
the-
want to do good deeds.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that.
No, it's
Sometimes
not-
it is.
it's
No, a
not
lot of
that.
it is.
Rarely it's that.
It's probably to take up the space and to sell local supported ticket sales, you know,
Right.
and get the word out. It's like street advertisement.
Yeah, totally.
That's-
And
Totally.
it takes up the spots with low budget.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
kick your guitar.
No, it's okay. It's like a $90 or it's like a $50 guitar anyway, so you're good. Okay.
Are we gonna smash it at the end of this?
We definitely could, right, Bill?
That'd be
Nope.
badass.
I'll buy you a new one.
Really?
No.
I was about to say you're loaded. I was gonna add. That's why, like,
doing well.
when you see like Bonnaroo, there's no local bands at Bonnaroo, or if there are, there's like 2.
There's a couple of.
But like, what's the local draw?
Yeah, you're right.
Like
though.
where?
It's more like,
You know what I mean?
you know, like the smaller.
I
for
mean-
bands
those,
are
for the
like-
big ones, but like for the smaller
like
ones, I get that.
Bonnaroo is like not a. It's kind of a bigger budget festival.
Exactly.
I mean, that'd be like saying, does Coachella have local acts?
No.
Yeah,
Because they have enough funding to support headliners throughout the whole
across
weekend.
Yeah.
Whereas like something at Swanee or here in Jacksonville or whatever, it's like the funding is much lower. So they got to fill up the bills somehow and have like 1 or 2 headliners on.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question, but yeah, I don't really.
We'll
know.
get Paul Levine on here and talk about it.
Oh, he'll never say anything. Yeah, if anything, he'll just be like, yeah, and he has like gifted, stage time to bands that he sees that are like making it and everything like that. It's like, what could really give your band a boost? Putting you on Bear Creek. My band's at the very, very bottom of that poster for Bear Creek, and we've been talking to him about it constantly. And he didn't even tell us. He just announced that poster lineup, and then an hour later he goes, "Hey, check out the poster." And then we were just on it on the festival,
That's cool.
like because we really needed it. So.
Yeah, no,
That's
that is
awesome.
cool.
So he does.
Yeah, Paul does some good stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're all bad, but it's very rarely out
All
of
the
a
festivals are bad.
goodwill gesture. Like he probably knew that you guys had a draw in Jacksonville and was like, yeah, we can throw them on the festival.
Yeah.
So
But he didn't have to.
nobody has to do anything, but they feel like it's going to work in their favor. They will.
Paul
Anyways,
Levine
I'm
is
just trying to say thank you.
an omnipotent, benevolent creature. Please
Yeah.
put me on your festival,
Yeah.
Paul Levine.
Praise the Lord.
So I'm I'm curious.
I
how
meant
you,
that.
Yeah, we all did.
I'm curious how you got involved with with the reggae scene. If you come from like a gospel background, and what was your introduction to reggae?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Florida, so I've
Yeah.
obviously heard reggae growing up and stuff. But I actually was waiting tables at the Conch House when I was 19, I think, 20, because I had already had my daughter. And it was Reggae Sunday, and I took a break, and I went down and listened to the band. It was Peely Peely playing.
Oh wow.
And someone had told King Eddie that I sing, so they called me up there and they're like, sing a song. So I sang a song with them, and he was like, you want a job? And I really wanted to leave Saint Augustine at that time, and I needed a job to do that in Jacksonville, which is where I wanted to go, and it's just where they were based. So I was like, yeah. He's like, 4 nights a week? Perfect. So I
Wow.
moved to Jacksonville, quit Conch House, moved to Jacksonville, and I was gigging with them like 4 nights a week, learning their music. And actually, I was singing backups for him. So I guess I was singing harmonies for a while. I don't know if I was doing it correctly or
Right,
not.
you're just kind of guessing.
But the other thing that I was doing that I learned was how to write over rhythms, right? And just like learning, that is one of like the fundamentals of reggae music. Actually, the concept's kind of like, so there's juggler rhythms in reggae music, and basically that's like a bass line. And I think that comes from just not a lot of resources in the islands. So resources as in ways to record music, actual recordings of music, that kind of thing. So it was like a sound system culture in Jamaica, more so than like a live band culture, right?
Okay.
So there would be a rhythm, and they'd have a name like the Stalag rhythm or the Taxi rhythm, right? And it's like a bass line basically. and recordings of that. And it was actually like a sound system culture, and they'd have sound clashes where two DJs would come out and the music was all the same. But they'd see who had the bigger, louder sound system, who was the better DJ, who could get the better MC on that record, right? So then they do like battles, and it's like I said, the same rhythm, but you've got like, one MC artist on this, and they're like shouting out the DJ, and they're doing like, they're like bigging up the DJ basically, and they're like, so the DJs are warring with each other with who has the best artist on that rhythm, right?
That's pretty cool.
And that's a sound clash kind of thing. Who has the loudest system? Who has the best singer on it? So from that, I didn't really know about that. I just knew that I was singing in a reggae band, and all those rhythms start becoming really familiar. And then I start writing music over those rhythms, just because I'm singing with them 4 nights a week. So like something will come into my head, and I'll be like, okay, I know this rhythm. I'll sing on this one, whatever. And then I realized, like as I started playing with more reggae bands, is that all these reggae bands were playing the same bass lines, the same rhythms, because they're classic rhythms from Jamaica, right?
Right.
So then just learning about reggae music on that level by playing with a reggae band. And I've just always thought that was really interesting. The music is, but to some people will say that the music is repetitive.
Billy's never said anything like that before.
Or simple. And that might be because they might be simple mind. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it is repetitive, and there's not a lot of changes in the music as far as chord structure and stuff like that goes. But that's just the nature of the music. It's more about the drum and bass, and the bass line's like meditative, and it's not on the beat. It's very much so like in the pocket. It's like
syncopated.
Yeah, it's something that you can't tell someone how to play. They have to be able to feel it, and if they're playing it right, because if you're really playing it right, everyone is moving their pelvic region, and if they're not, then you're not playing it right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What if the person doesn't know how to dance
and they're trying to play bass?
No. Oh, you mean like the bass player is moving their pelvic region?
No, he is hypnotizing everyone in the crowd
to the point where they're all just.
See, what if they don't know how to dance?
Yeah, what if they don't know how to dance?
Talk to Swayze. Dirty Dancing.
Is that a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anyways.
But I don't know. What was the question originally? So that's how I got introduced to reggae music, is just by getting hired by a reggae band when I was really young, and that band had been Pili Pili was around since the 70s, so. They're like the original North Florida reggae band, like from way, way back in the day, and just taught me like a lot about the genre of music. So,
yeah, it's interesting with like it's like I guess more folk genres. Like I would consider reggae like in that vein, because it is born of it's a very specific thing that comes out of a very specific region, and it's kind of like blues or like hip hop or really like those genres where there's such a specific thing for it that if you can really dive in and learn about the culture and where it's all coming from, you can really appreciate the music on a much deeper level, I think. And because there is such a unique style about it, that's not really like, you can't really attribute the same kind of understanding to like pop music, I feel like, right? It's like pop music is just kind of amalgamation of all these different things, and it's
pop
like a watered down.
Pop music basically just steals from all of those traditional genres.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I want to say more of a traditional genre. So it's like it's very, I don't know. I had a similar experience playing with blues bands and stuff like that, where it's like you had to really dive in and listen to the traditional stuff if you wanted to authentically play the music and like get the gigs and get the respect and the whole thing, So.
Yeah. I also think that I'm attracted to it because, like, original reggae music is actually soul music. Like, if you listen to, like, the original Bob Marley and, like, that's, like, it's soul music.
Totally.
And I definitely grew up, like I said, in a church that was very lively in Jacksonville here. And, I mean, just gospel soul, like that is my jam, and I think that translates pretty well to reggae music. It's also like kind of a spiritual and political vein to it, has meaning and purpose behind it. And most of the, and when I'm talking about reggae, I'm not talking about revolution.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about slightly stupid. I'm not talking about sublime.
of course.
So that's also a distinction I think that people have to make when they decide whether or not they like reggae music.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a difference if you listen to like Jimmy Cliff or like the Heptones and like some of the earlier stuff,
Yeah.
and then you listen to like Iration, shit like that. You're like,
Yeah,
or like
it's not
Pepper.
the-
Pepper's like the worst fucking band of all time. And it's so watered down.
Mhm.
They found one aspect of the music, and they just stuck with that one thing, and that entire West Coast genre of reggae has just, I don't know, like bastardized.
Yeah, which is why I think I got lucky because I landed with a band that had been playing reggae music since the 70s and they were playing roots and culture. And I was just really like schooled on that particular. It is interesting though now that I'm trying to write and release reggae music. And when you're talking about marketing and all this kind of stuff, it's like, okay, well, where do I even fit in that genre? And I've like had people try and talk to me about that in particular and like want to work with me, but like maybe have me play more of this West Coast style music, where it's like I'm not into that at all. But then how do you market me in a Caribbean
Right.
based music, like so that's an interesting way to look at it. But the music that I'm working on right now, I mean, I've released reggae tracks for sure, but I think that if I were to say, I think I'm actually just now figuring out what the sound that I'm going for is, and maybe not even just figuring it out, but being able to translate it into a music without being the sole person that plays all the instruments. I'm relying on other people to play music and help create the sound for me. So I think that takes a long time to figure out what sound is in your head
Sure.
that you're trying to get out, and the last song that I released, I think, did the best job of that. And it's not straight up reggae track, it has influences. All the players on it were from Jamaica, has that influence and that vibe for sure, which I really enjoy, but it also has like some soulful vocals, a little bit of like jazz flavor in there, a little bit of R&B flavor in there, so that's kind of more of what I'm going for. It's not like a strictly reggae record, but those influences from authentic reggae music, as well as just like the soulful voice and voicings and, influences from jazz R&B also.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you're gonna be putting out with in that kind of vein. It'd be an interesting take on all those different genres for sure. I forgot that we got to do bottom of the billboard. We got so caught up
that's
in the
okay.
conversation, which
What's
is
that?
a good problem. But yeah, so bottom of the billboard. For those who don't know, we each recommend a song. I can't do the spiel right now.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it, Bill.
Okay.
Are
Bottom
you
of-
tired?
I haven't slept. Yeah, so I'm
He's
pretty
a
beat.
little tired.
A little tired today.
That's okay.
Okay, that's not.
That's fine.
Okay,
But
good.
bottom of the billboard segment that we have. So me and Anton have pretty different music taste where we don't really agree on anything, and I will recommend him a song to listen to, and then we both review it. And if it's my turn to give him a song, he gets to okay it to see if it's going to make it to our playlist bottom of the billboard. So this week's song.
Does it have to be a bottom song?
No. It
Any
could be any
song.
song,
Any
any
song.
song.
Okay.
And it's just, it's called bottom of the billboard because we were thinking of playlist names. But the more we talk about it, I'm like, it sounds like they're all shitty songs.
Yeah,
but
no,
they're not.
It's just like
They're
part
supposed
of
to
the
be
thing.
like our favorite songs. I don't know. It's part of the podcast. It's just a name.
Yeah.
What is the name?
Uh,
Anyways, but this week is Mac DeMarco's, and I forgot the name of the song because I have a really bad problem just listening to albums that I like on Spotify and then just letting it play.
Don't worry, I got you covered, Bill.
No, thank you, I appreciate it. But
That's what I'm here for.
but then I never remember the song names because I'm not looking at my phone when I'm like driving or listening to music.
Chamber Reflection.
Chamber of Reflection. And I never would have got that because it doesn't say anything like that.
Okay, so start over. What's this called?
Mac DeMarco. Do you know him?
No.
Okay. He's like the last like indie rock guy out there, but he writes and records all of his own music himself. But this song is one of his most popular ones, called Chamber of Reflection, and it's got a like a keyboard riff the whole time. It's kind of slow, and I really love it a lot just because it's so catchy. The lyrics are great. It's spooky kind of sounding, but I would love to hear. I love all of Mac DeMarco's stuff, and actually, like during 2020 for the pandemic, he wasn't recording anything except he recorded like a note for note cover of Enter the Sandman, like like exactly the same, and you're just like, what the hell? Because all of his other music is just so soft, and anyways, it's just really strange. But anyways, what'd you think, Tony?
I listened to it.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I'm gonna let you go. I think it's boring.
It's boring?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say
Well,
too.
okay.
Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. It's the same sounds. And it's the same kind of pulse the entire time. His voice just kind of drones on, doesn't do anything.
What genre would that be?
It's indie.
I think
kinda.
it's
Indie
kind
pop.
of indie pop. There was a name for it, and I can't remember what it's called anymore. But
Emo?
it's not
No,
emo at
no.
all.
He has recommended some pretty terrible emo songs though on the segment.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like I don't know what to call it exactly. What that style of music is, because it's like indie rock, but it's not rock.
It's like pop. It's like indie pop, I would call it.
Yeah.
What's it say?
Yeah, it's
here?
indie rock.
Indie rock.
Slacker rock. That's what it is. Yeah, slacker rock.
Definitely sounds very slackerish.
Yeah.
Slacker rock.
Yeah.
I felt like a slacker listening.
Yeah, it was very.
Just
No, I mean I agree.
Did we get offended here?
No.
not
Okay.
at all. Not at all.
I didn't write the song.
No.
I just really like Mac DeMarco a lot. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I thought it was boring. I mean, the production's cool. I don't like. There's songs by him that I like.
Really?
Right? Yeah. There's just not that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What do you like about him?
I love his lyrics. I love his singing. I love how every single one of his songs has like just a catchy riff on it, and he's not trying to like show off the entire like at any point in time.
I think that might have been part of the problem.
There's no showy.
there's
no
not-
showiness.
No, he didn't show off
There-
anything.
yeah, there's
He
never.
didn't show me anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like not melodramatic music. What's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like melancholy sounding, but it's not like sad.
Very melancholy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like emo music where it's like sad and everything like that.
It's like
I
if the
think.
Beatles didn't take acid.
He does give me a lot of big Beatles vibe for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's just writing,
Yeah. I mean, like-
rainy day music. I guess I don't know what to call it. Slacker rock is what it's called.
As far as, I mean, I'm down to put it on the playlist because I didn't hate the song.
Oh, you didn't hate it?
I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it that much.
Okay.
But like, it's not warranted like not going on a playlist.
I would
you know?
fast forward it if
Can
I
I-
heard it.
You
Can I
fast
get
forward
a-
it?
Can I get a number count for the plays on Spotify when you get a chance? I was just curious
I
how many it's
don't
got. Because I was going to tell you
care.
how much. I just wanted to see
Is
if
there a
you agree
count
with
of how
everybody
many
else,
people
too.
fast forwarded it?
Yeah, right?
That'd be,
Like, is it like it's got 5 plays but 4 fast forwards?
So Spotify definitely tracks those numbers actually, and they don't give them to you,
Aw.
which is bullshit.
Yeah, that'd be
YouTube gives you those
helpful.
numbers though.
I was curious.
How many play? I can look it up on my phone.
Well, no, they're doing it.
Oh, they're doing it.
What do you think we pay them for?
We pay them?
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
they
Yeah,
had
anyways.
they had like stock in the company.
Yeah.
Hey, boys, I'll give you another couple points if you want to really get this going. Make sure not to play it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
don't.
it'll be
Yeah.
copyright.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it. If you
Didn't
said
hate
you'd
it?
fast forward it though, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I probably would do the same thing. 261 million, 275.
Or 275 million.
See, that's what I'm saying. Anybody can do this. I'm not even kidding you right now. Like, that's insane.
So
I think he's wonderful.
No offense. What's his
He's-
name? Wade?
Mac DeMarco.
Mac DeMarco. I'm sorry.
Say, before we started the show, I was
What?
like, I can't remember names or faces, and she was like, "So you don't give a fuck about anybody?" And I'm like, this, "You're proving your own point." It's like, what's it, Wade? It's like, not even close.
I
Man.
think he's awesome. So what, is it on or is it not?
Yeah, it's on.
It
It's
is?
on. Yeah,
A thumbs up to the camera then.
275 million plays. Maybe
That's also crazy how anybody can make music and put it out now.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it definitely clutters up the playing field a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. Like the production is not bad. Like he's a good producer. You know what I mean? So I can respect it
Is
from
there
that
anything that
angle.
he's done that I'd be familiar with?
He's got some songs.
Nothing like on the
radio.
radio or in commercials or TV or music, something like that. That's probably made the airways. I don't think so. No.
But you went to Full Sail, right? So do you do a lot of production stuff?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna guess that's a no based off of your.
I'm doing it now.
You're doing it now.
Yeah.
Well, like with like mixing and mastering and that kind of stuff.
I'm not mastering anything, but I am recording myself and mixing, treating my vocals, and sending them to producers for the most part.
Oh, nice.
I just recently recorded one of my girlfriends in my house. It's the first time I've recorded someone else. So I went to Full Sail. I graduated Full Sail in 2001. And I went and I worked at Tree Sound Studios in Atlanta like immediately. Pretty high, profile studio. Met a lot of famous people, Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown.
That's awesome.
Anyways, then I ended up having my daughter, and then I was a teacher, hard left turn for like a while, and then went into nursing. And so I did not utilize any of that or look at a Pro Tools rig for years.
Yeah.
And just recently did I get Pro Tools, and once you learn like signal flow, it's like anything. When you understand it, you can transfer the knowledge, right? So like Pro Tools back then looks different than it does now, but I'm getting reacquainted with that. I've also been doing live sound and managing all of that for years, so that helps as well. But no, I just started getting back into production.
What was it like recording your friend for the first time?
Amazing. That's what I should be doing.
Really?
Yeah, and even in the songs that I've recorded over the years and released as singles, I've always been involved in production.
Yeah.
Not as an engineer, but it's from an idea perspective.
Sure.
Like 100%. Like I could lip out any line that, this is bass line. This is the guitar. I need this to sound like that. I want this to sound like that. And I've worked with like really cool people that let me do that. And, it's definitely a collaboration on that. But I really enjoy recording my friend. She's a female singer. And I think that there's so much talent, like especially like with females, that is undiscovered right now because there's zero platform for them. There's zero support. And there's obviously this like perception maybe of female leadership that I think can be fixed if there was some sort of like artist development and resources available, right?
Do you know where that's happening right now? Anywhere else?
My living room.
Right.
Nice.
That's good.
And my living room too. We're hanging out.
Yeah, we're hanging out.
We're promoting it. We're trying to get it started.
No, I think just based on experience recording myself, I think to get a good take out of somebody requires a skill in and of itself.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's really important. I think like communication, being in that seat takes more than just being like good technically. It's like, how can you big somebody up? How can you make them feel confident? How can you get the best out of them? How can you you know what I mean? It's a total psychological game.
Totally.
And so if you can figure that out, I think that there's, I think it's fun. I love like getting in the heads of people that way. I like inspiring people. So I think that I might be doing more of that.
That's awesome. I love that side of it as well. I think the recording and the production side is where you can really let your creativity just go wild, Billy hates it.
I love it.
It's the best part.
What do I hate about it?
Just the performing in the studio
That's not what I hate
aspect
about
of
it.
it.
Nope.
What do you hate about it?
I hate everything's fine. This sounds amazing. It's great. And then the next day you're like, sounds like shit. We need to redo it.
Yeah.
That's what I hate.
Yeah.
I like having a finished product and being like, great, it's done. Put a stamp on it, walk away, next.
Okay, I think that with the way technology is right now, if you're playing the right notes, it's a good enough take. Like if you're feeling it and it's like it's just after that, it's about refining it,
Yeah.
and having a really good mix engineer to pull it together. And having multiple takes to work from, right?
Yeah, totally.
So like, I don't know. And that's also a really creative part of it too. Are you guys tracking live?
No, we do the drums and bass together, and then we'll punch stuff in as necessary. And then we lay down keys, synths, guitar, vocals.
What do you play?
Piano
Yeah,
and backup vocals.
and backup vocals.
So-
You're a great backup singer.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
The only one in our band now.
Yeah. Yeah, I just really like I don't like to push the buttons as far as the engineering side goes. That stuff is so meticulous, and I get very irritated when things don't work properly.
Yeah.
So I don't like to do that so much. But if someone else is there pushing the buttons,
Yeah.
I'm really good with like, hey, let's make this effect happen here. Let's have this sound come up here. Let's drop the volume down here as it's panning towards this way, and we can kind of lift it. Like I like putting things where they belong in the mix. So that to me is like the most fun part about being in the studio.
I just think that it makes you better. I mean, I feel like that's why I'm really excited about the next few months and like working with some higher level engineers and producers. I'm super, super excited about to learn a little bit more technique. Number one, like recording technique, the different types of microphones to get certain tones and sounds that we're looking for, but also just like when you're recording your voice like that and it's under a microscope. I've already started tracking these songs in my house just to listen to my voice and to just like hone in and dial in exactly what it is that I'm looking for. And you don't hear yourself like that until you record it and you're like, oh, I have a lisp. Oh, I have, you know what I mean? And then you start paying attention and then you can make corrections. That's what I love about recording is it's like, because I'm kind of OCD in some ways. And so that just gives me something to focus and dial in on myself.
Totally.
And work harder at. Yeah.
Totally.
It's cool.
I like all the meticulous computer programming stuff. I love that. That's my favorite part about it, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I knew how to do Logic or Pro Tools. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Pro Tools is what we usually work with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to do all the. What'd you call it? The something flow?
Signal flow.
Signal flow. Is that like
Signal flow? Yeah, that's not really okay. So yeah, I mean the DAWs is Pro Tools. That's like the computer program, but signal flow is just important. It's really important in live sound when you're troubleshooting. If something's going wrong, if you understand the concept, it's a basic concept of signal flow. You can figure out where the problem is really quickly when you've got a full stage full of equipment or whatever. In a studio, it's kind of the same as well when you're running through a DAWs and you have an interface and you've got, stuff going on and things go wrong. If you understand signal flow, you can usually like trace it back to where the problem is.
In my mind, I was thinking that meant like shortcuts and like little things you can do on the keyboard.
It's
to-
a
No.
workflow.
A workflow. Sorry,
Workflow.
my bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, signal flow. Yeah, I'd like to learn about that too.
I'm curious about how you got involved in the talent buying side of things as well.
That's a really interesting story.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I mean, not really interesting. It's just
That was a very misleading way to start the
Sorry.
conversation.
like I believe in this like concept of manifestation, and I don't mean to sound like hippy dippy or whatever.
No, not at all.
But I've just seen it happen too many times, like too like blatant in my face, and that was one instance of that. So I took a hard left turn. I started teaching, and then I went to nursing school and I started nursing. I was working as an ER nurse, just really grinding it out. I stopped playing music like with Pili Pili, and I stopped recording and just writing for probably 4 years there. I was just in the grind of what I was doing in my career and stuff. And the emergency room nursing is like really all consuming and kind of like a whole nother thing, but
Yeah.
served a purpose for sure. I got to a point where I was like felt like my soul was dying, not to be dramatic, but I really needed to do something different. And I sat down with my journal and I wrote in there, I was like, I really need another outlet, a creative outlet. I need to be able to get back into doing something that's like feeding me because I just feel like depleted. I mean, when you're dealing with like trauma every day for 12 hours, it's like, you know. So I wrote that in my journal and I was like, this is what I need. I've identified what it is. I wrote it down. And then I'm not going to name any names, but there was a guy who started with Prohibition Kitchen who I don't need to get into the details, but you know, I don't have very many enemies or people that I don't like, but he's definitely one of them for reasons that I don't need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really surprised when he called me up and said, "Hey, Rachel, do you want to pick up some sound shifts at this venue that just opened up? We need some help running sound." He knew I had gone to Full Sail. He knew I could do it, although I hadn't done, you know, in years. And I'm like, first of all, why is this person even calling me? Second of all, like, what? But okay,
Yeah.
you know? So he's like, come out Saturday and I'll show you the ropes, whatever. You can pick up some shifts. It's like, you know, whatever. It's something you could do on the side. I just need some help. And I was like, I kind of thought about it for a minute. I'm like, this is a really snake in the grass kind of person. And I was like, what am I walking into here? Like, this is just weird, you know?
Yeah.
So I went and I showed up and he was in jail. And the manager was like, yeah, he's not here. He's in jail. Can you turn this stuff on? Because we don't know what we're doing here. And it was actually a CD release party that night. And the place was packed. And like, I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I didn't even know where the microphone stands were. I just like dove in and figured it out and got the band rolling. And like one of the guys in the band, Jim, helped me out. And who actually plays guitar with me now. But helped me out as far as like where things were and got me rolling and stuff. And from there, I just took over the entire thing. He came out of jail a year later and was not happy, and
Damn.
that was okay.
Wow.
So I've been doing that for them for like 4.5, almost 5 years now.
That's awesome.
Grew it, moved the stage, rebuilt the sound system, it's entirely different setup now. But
How do you feel like it's helped you in your musical endeavors, or do you feel like it's helped you at all, like the talent buying side of it?
in every way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't even playing music. So I started doing that. I started an LLC, started the business. I'm subcontracted now from Prohibition Kitchen, and I do all of their talent buying and manage the stage and the sound engineers. And from that, it instantly catapulted me right back into the scene, which can be a hard thing to do if you haven't been playing music, to like wedge your way back in there. And this just like slingshotted me right back in the middle of it. I had access to the best musicians. I got to know really quickly who was good, who was reliable, who was on time, who was available, who was not available, who I wanted to work with. And from there, I've been able to like pick musicians who I do want to work with. And so I have another project that I perform, and that is not reggae music at all. It's actually soul music. And I've been able to like select musicians, like I said, from the scene based on just like firsthand experience with them right from the rip. It was also a way to get out of the hospital at the time. I was, like I said, working 12-hour shifts a week. And then because I started my own business and I started having another revenue, stream of revenue, I was able to back up from the hospital, focus more on writing again. I got super inspired, started playing music, got on the bill for Reggae Rise Up, that like all these things, opportunities started opening up. And I really think that it's because I decided it was something that I wanted. I wrote it down. And then as soon as the opportunities started presenting, I just started taking them, and I think that it's like that with everything in life. Like really, if you want something, it's most about deciding what you want.
Right.
Because as soon as you decide what you want, then you start seeing all the opportunities that were probably always there. You just didn't recognize them or take them because you didn't realize that's what you really wanted, you know?
I think that's such a good point about like just deciding what you want, and all of a sudden it's just like it's all right in front of you.
It is, yeah.
It's wild.
But I think it's hard for people to really decide what they want. People will say, "Oh, I want to be a touring artist. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that." But do you? And of all those things you just said, what do you really want to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard for people to like know what they want.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff sounds really good, and it sounds good to say. It's like, well, that's what I want to do. And then I think that if you can't, like, it's never going to happen if you don't truly commit to making it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I think that it's helped a lot.
So I'm curious about this. You have like a few different dynamics at PK where you sometimes do like ticketed events, and then you also have like the regular cover bands coming and play. How do you manage those two worlds? Because obviously, like when you're a ticketed venue, people know that you're a ticketed venue, and then they show up for those shows. But if you guys aren't always operating like that, do you ever notice like a?
It's really
thing?
difficult actually because it is not a ticketed venue. It's a restaurant bar, really, with a dope stage and sound system.
Right.
We have live music 7 days a week, and it's usually dinner music. There's dinner going on. The demographic is families that are tourists, basically. And then you've got Friday, Saturday, late night, which is a little bit more of a local crowd, but also your majority is tourists, right? It's not a local spot like Stogie's or like, some other places, number one. Then when and that works, we're constantly at capacity. They're killing it, We
Yeah.
have great entertainment all the time. The sound is consistent because we have a sound system. We're not relying on the bands to bring in sound systems, which can be all over the place.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like the sound quality is consistent. I have an engineer, which is unheard of, really, for bar gigs.
Yeah.
So it keeps the place packed, and that's evident when one night, if somebody gets sick or doesn't show up or whatever, it's evident that that's happening. So that's awesome. But then when you throw in a ticketed show, it's like, okay, whoa, now we have to sell tickets. You can't sell tickets to a family that's only here for a week, 3 months out, you know what I mean, when you're putting a guarantee on a show like that. So it is completely different, which is why I don't do it often. The shows that I've done, have been like once quarterly is what I was really doing before 2021. And I'm just now getting back into doing them. And those shows that I selected were shows that I knew would be sellout shows, really confident in what I was doing just based on like the market statistics and stuff, data from before. There's a couple tools that you can use to figure that out.
Right.
And so I just didn't select anything that I didn't know was going to sell out, basically.
I was surprised when I think you had Mishka there, right? Twice. I was surprised that he did well in Saint Augustine.
Sold out both times.
That's amazing.
And it wasn't a band; it was him and his guitar player.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not really. I mean, he's a pretty big artist, but whenever I have had the Steel Drivers there twice, sold out both times. We've had Squirrel Nut Zipper sold out. Who else have we had through Coolio after 95?
Modest Yahoo also.
Modest Yahoo twice sold out. And then there were some smaller ones, like I've had Zach Deputy, Easy Star All Stars have played there. And the thing is like one of the biggest challenges is that PK is packed no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And the size of the venue isn't a great number. It's 400 capacities. So when you have a venue that's packed all the time on a Saturday night and we're going to make bar sales, after you pay a band and you only have 400 capacity, it's like there's not really a lot of room there for profit.
Right.
Very little, actually. But we're not losing money on it as long as I sell it out, right?
Right.
So it's really just like a good look for the venue and something cool for the town. And the owners of Prohibition Kitchen are awesome and they support music. So it's like something that they're willing to let me take a gamble on periodically.
That's awesome.
What I really like to do is be able to route these bands on like a Thursday, because then, we don't have late night music on a Thursday. If we go over and we're doing bar sales over now, we're just like profiting,
right.
So that's really what I try and do. But that's hard to tell Machis Yahoo, yeah, you can come play, but only on a Thursday.
Right.
So that's also why they're not frequent. It has to be a banger. It has to be somebody that's going to sell out.
You have a hard time finding like bigger national touring acts to play on a Friday or Saturday in Saint Augustine?
Most of the time, acts prefer to play on the weekends, in my experience.
No, totally. I'm just curious because like there's times where like because Saint Augustine and Jacksonville, like they're not like A markets, So I'm curious about that because I know that there's been times, at other venues, they've had a hard time finding like the bigger bands that they want on a Friday or Saturday. Like the bands will give them a Tuesday or a Wednesday because they want to save a Friday or Saturday for like a bigger market.
I haven't noticed that. I would actually prefer that.
Really?
Because we're not busy on those nights, you know, so we're not cutting into our normal packed house business to have a ticketed show. I don't really think that that's the case because I don't really seek out bands for that, for ticketed shows. It's when I book a ticketed show, it's more like they're rooting through and they hit me up because we're registered through Polestar and we've got like a pretty big social media presence. People know who we are now.
Right.
So they're actually looking to book at the spot. And then I'm like, will this work or not? Yes or no, you know? Number one, or it's a mutual contact kind of like networking thing that just ends up working out. So I've never been like, oh, this band, and I have no connection to them. And I'm like, I'm going to book this band at PK. It's not really like that.
Gotcha.
That's awesome, though. Well, I guess it's not awesome for your schedule, but that they are actually like doing like, I don't know, Friday, Saturday night. That's like their main night of the week if they're on tour and everything, but they're picking Prohibition Kitchen. And but obviously, yeah, you'd probably make a little bit more profit on a Thursday or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, they basically give me a little bit of leeway to make those decisions. I mean, it's like.
I mean, that's awesome because it's great for the scene overall to have bands like that coming through, you know?
Exactly.
What you mentioned that you book for some other venues as well internationally.
Yeah, I book some gigs over in the Bahamas. So in the past, Abaco, I actually just sent a local duo to Bimini. They're leaving tomorrow, actually. And those are just like high-end resort gigs that need entertainment. And most of those private islands don't have a local scene at all.
Right.
So all the entertainment is coming from here.
Wow.
So I've been able to like finagle my way into that niche, really. Long story there. It'd be a whole nother
podcast.
Sounds like a good gig, though.
Yeah.
Just like connections that you've made from like the reggae scene, or just.
No, I just have I don't know. Life is so crazy. Basically, I had a best friend move to the Bahamas and marry a Bahamian guy, and I started going over there playing music. And I did a couple tours over there, actually with the drummer of Easy Star All Stars. He came over there with me. We did a couple runs. We wrote a song together. We created a music video, like super low but no budget video, put it out, and then it kind of circulated through the islands real quick because it's small, you know. And then we started playing down there, and then they had a major like catastrophic hurricane Dorian come through. And I'm also a nurse. So after that, I went from like musician to disaster relief mode and went down there and did a lot of work as a nurse. And then that just spending the time over there and making the connections and getting to know people and on both levels, you know, musically first and then as a nurse second, and as they were rebuilding and all that kind of stuff. So just making the connections, honestly, just being there. And down the road, it's like, oh, you book, let's go.
Yeah, it's so wild how shit works out sometimes. You just like never know what opportunities can arise from any situation.
Just always gotta be nice and willing to say yes to everything, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sounds
also just like looking for the opportunity, like noticing it when you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
being aware, I suppose.
Or just knowing what you want to do. And
Yeah,
I know that I want to play in the Bahamas. So when I'm in the Bahamas, I'm like, hey, I want to play here. Can I play here? Yes. Okay, cool. I'll see you next month. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? You just have to know what you want to do.
I've been pensive sitting here thinking about what you just said about figuring out what you want to do. Like the whole time, I was like, yeah, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I love that.
I am. I was like, damn.
You got to, like, that's awesome, man. I think that that's the coolest thing is like just to like inspire people anyways. Like,
Sure.
You know, like.
You think a lot of that came from teaching?
Probably.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I was going for teaching too.
That's actually a good point.
Well, I was going for teaching in college, and I did a lot of piano teaching. Well, not a lot, for like a couple of years or whatever, but that like, I've got that positive attitude when it comes down to recording in the studio, like trying to get your best take and stuff out.
Yeah.
That's just teaching. Like,
Yeah,
you just do that to your students the whole
right.
time.
You're right. I never really made that connection, but that's true. because like I taught at a school here, the Foundation Academy. So it's a private school, but it's an alternative school, and it's like scholarship grant based. It's kids, coming from Moncrief, Matty V, whatever. It's like last chance school, bad kids stabbing each other.
Yeah.
It's like, not come learn how to read, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like giving them the confidence, like that's always like why people fail is because they're afraid. It's like fear of failure is equals failure. So like you just have to like give people confidence and then they learn. So yeah, I think that probably did come from that because that's a trick that not a trick, but like a tool that you use to get kids to like bring out the best in themselves. It's like you have to inspire them with something. You have to be like, okay, what interests you? Figure it out. What do you want to do? That's exactly where it came from.
Just I don't know. My mom was a teacher too and
You're
everything.
brilliant. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really bad with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You don't know things called what is it called? Not a compliment sandwich. It's called something like that.
A what?
I can't think of what it's called. But it's like you say a compliment and then you put in something that you didn't like about what they're doing and then you finish it with a compliment. It's a compliment sandwich, but the compliments are the buns. The sandwich.
Criticism sandwich?
Yeah, criticism sandwich, I guess. But that makes it sound bad too.
Oh my God.
But that's how you talk to people that you want to get them to do things.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
You have, and also a nurse, so you have bedside manner, I imagine. Yeah. You put all that together. Yeah, you're hell of a producer.
Yeah, man.
Really, at least
Well, maybe that's why I took a left-handed turn from full sales because I just needed some of those skills.
Yeah. Well, but you have none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no compassion.
Damn.
It's not that it's not compassionate. It's just the way that I came up was very hard with other musicians. Mm-hmm. So it was very much like, hey, you suck. Stop doing that. And I was like, do that. And then I was like, okay. And that's what made me want to get better was I don't want to hear you tell me that I suck anymore. Please stop. So it's like when I'm in the studio, I'm like, hey, that was a terrible take. Do that again. And I just think that, I mean.
That's exactly what it's like. You're like, why don't you like the studio, man? I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like I'm in fucking concentration camp when I'm in there. Except I can't concentrate.
It depends also who I'm talking to. With you, I can be a lot more free with how I speak. But if I'm talking to like Aaron or somebody,
you'll catch hands.
Well, no, not that. It's just that there's I know that's gonna for some people that'll break their psyche, right? So you don't want to do that. With you, I know it's a lot easier. Like you and I don't get offended with each other, so we can say literally whatever we want.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
It's better housewife over here. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just kidding. He loves me. He just shows it in a funny way.
I would never say it out loud. That's for sure.
Anyways, yeah. I was also. You said that you have a Bill Johnson art. Is that what it is? So what do you do with that company?
That's the most recent business that I started. And again, when I was in the Bahamas nursing, I came across a 90-year-old man that had his roof laying on top of him on an island by himself. And because it's spread out little like archipelago of islands basically, and got him back to health, and then realized that he was an artist and his house was full of artwork, and he's a pretty well-known artist and author in the Bahamas. And so we basically recovered all of his artwork, and long story short, over 2 years of taking care of him, getting him a solar panel, getting him back up and running. I mean, he lived without running water or electricity before the storm. So after, it was just getting him back to health, getting his place in living condition, and basic needs met. And then he gave me his full body of artwork, and he's in his 90s. So I am going to turn that into a very lucrative business.
That's awesome.
Bill Johnson of the the Guy Harvey of the Bahamas is the idea there.
The Guy Harvey of the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. So do you want to start like a hotel and the whole thing, or
no merchandise, and just right now what I'm doing is archiving all of his work. So he's surveyed all the islands down there. He's a naturalist, so he's sailed all over the Bahamas, and he's illustrated traditional Bahamian sailcraft. And so that's like handmade boats in the Bahamas that don't exist anymore because they're not being made, and storm destroyed the ones that were left. So a lot of his work is like illustrations of those boats and depicts like culture, fish and flora, plants, fauna, flora and fauna. It's just like naturalist illustrations, watercolors, maps, detailed maps of each island, the full Bahamas map island. So right now there's he's a pretty nice niche market of second homeowners in the Bahamas that buy this artwork and have bought his artwork for years. So we continue to sell and like inventory, basically like supply inventory for resorts, gift shops, different places in the Bahamas. But we want to take his images that he has now, since he's not painting anymore, and digitize them and merchandise them and kind of bring that up to the next level.
That's awesome.
That sounds cool.
What inspired you to want to take that on?
He gave it to me.
He just gave it to you, so you.
It's like a full body of artwork, which is, I never knew anything about art, like visual art, and it's actually pretty interesting because you don't ever see anything, with artwork on it that wasn't bought. So when you go buy a shower curtain and it's got fish on it, somebody drew those fish, and it was bought by a Chinese company for multi-million-dollar royalty. So.
Right. So that's what you want to do?
With parts of it.
You want to sell it off to Chinese companies?
Maybe. But the part that's more niche to the Bahamas, I definitely want to keep as a brand.
Right.
I want to brand it and market it to the Bahamas, like the Guy Harvey of the Bahamas, because the artwork is very Bahamian culture, very like, it's like views from certain islands that if you've been there, you know it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it, or it's like certain fish that fishermen go there just to get the bonefish and the hogfish, like sports fishermen, and it's very like niche, some of the maps and stuff. But then he's also got stuff that's a little bit more that could be that you could see on a, shower curtain or something like that. That could be a collection for commercial, and then you have like a collection for niche merchandise marketing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Again, it just takes understanding the business and then taking something and being really smart and making money with it.
For sure. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's wild. All the things that you're taking on right now. It really is an inspiration to like think about all those things and like taking on.
A lot of projects.
Yeah, for sure. And I wish you the best in all of it, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. Unpopular opinions.
Yeah, sure.
You want to go first this time? I had to.
Yeah. My unpopular opinion is based off of some things that I've seen on TV. I don't want to give anything away in case anybody's watching this, but it's that the deep fakes, I think, need to be outlawed immediately. I think they're too real, and I think that people are going to get in trouble, and there's no way to tell whether or not it's actually that person anymore. And I think a lot of people will be like, no, it's awesome. I'm like, yeah, what if somebody puts you on a face or on somebody else's body, your face on somebody else's body, and then like commits crimes, and then like you're in prison?
Right.
That's not good, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a real fear.
My thing is there's no positives that outweigh the negatives, and so
right. Yeah.
it just looks cool. Like, oh, this is really cool, and then also like you can just get framed for murder.
Right.
So I'm out on deepfakes.
I don't disagree.
So maybe it's not unpopular.
I don't disagree. I don't know what the full scope of the technology is. I don't know what they're trying to use it for.
Basically, they're
other than just movies.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Like they did it in not The Departed, the Irishman, the Martin Scorsese thing, where it basically like de-aging your face.
Right.
And they did it with Russell Crowe and like the Guardians of the Galaxy and all this stuff. And that makes them. You can use like old actors relive their younger selves, and that part is cool. But the like that, everything else that you could do with it's awful.
I don't think that. I agree with you. I think that's awful, but like I don't think that there's a solution.
The solution is they destroy it.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know.
That's like that gets into the whole world of censorship. It's creation that somebody made. So how are you gonna tell them they can't use it? Number one, number two, get ready, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's just the.
Oh, there's no way. It's already
that's
set
just
in
like
motion.
the tip of the ice. I mean,
So I was watching a
That's a tease of what they're about to do.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was watching this.
You could be having sex with a girl next week, and like it's not even a real person.
Yeah, like
It's like
augmented
a
reality
hologram.
shit. Yeah.
That took over all your senses. Talk about deep fake.
That's too deep. That's so deep, man.
That was good.
Well,
He's
you're
blew
saying
Billy's mind.
She was gonna do a deep fake.
I'm trying to inspire him.
Yeah.
I just think that was the other thing. I watched this like news special on it, and they were talking about how it was like they were interviewing the NSA, and the NSA was like, "Yeah, we're watching as close as we can." It's like, can you what can you do? You obviously got the top people on it that can tell the difference between a deep fake and the real thing. And they're like, nope. We have no technology to differentiate whether it's a deep fake or not.
There will be technology to come. It's such a new technology right now.
Sure,
there will be something that comes along, I'm sure. And
but until then, it's like Wild West right now.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is actually being able to be used in real life situations.
I don't like. I'm not trying to say it in conspiracy theories at all, but it does seem like the technology comes out a little bit later than when it actually is coming out.
That's how it always works.
Yo, I thought that they were doing that kind of stuff in videos. I've actually had that thought before.
Yeah, like it is fake.
I
fake.
thought that videos were being faked like 10 years ago. I don't know. I thought that I
Osama
just
bin Laden,
assumed
that
that
fake.
technology had already existed, I think. Like when I would think about somebody making a music video and the tools that they'd be able to use, I thought that would be like one of them. Like you could do anything. Just like you can manipulate photo, I thought you could manipulate video.
Yeah, it's gotten so sophisticated now where it's almost indistinguishable between you and like the fake thing. So it's like 10 years ago it might have been like pretty obvious, like this is clearly not the person. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it's clearly not them. Whereas now it's like you watch a deep fake and you're like, I legit can't tell if this is a real person or not.
Yeah, I watched something, and I'm not going to give away what it was, but I guess I don't want to give any spoilers away. But I watched it, and I was like, you literally can't tell the difference. And you're like, this is. I watched, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I instantly went, oh no, this is bad now.
Yeah,
'Cause it's gonna. That's the other thing too, is like what we're just talking about right now about like conspiracies and stuff. I think the conspiracies and stuff alone are bad.
Yeah.
From it. Like now everything is like, is that real? I don't know if I can trust it. That's probably fake news. That's probably a deep fake.
Right.
It's already
It's already happening.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Whoever invented that is an asshole.
Well, I mean, people will always keep pushing the boundaries for sure, and then we'll figure out a way to offset or mitigate some of the risk that comes from it, you know?
I'll see what happens.
I mean, I think that's part of like what you guys are doing with podcasts is because like historically people get their information from news sources, right? And now you can actually like watch podcasts and hear people discuss their opinions about things. Not saying that that's where you should get news, but actually I'm not saying that either because it's not like there's a reputable place to get your information from.
Right.
And it actually seems like a little bit more, it makes better sense to like have like average people hashing shit out with their opinions than it does from it coming from any sort of corporate source right now. So
Sure, yeah, 100%.
At least not political pieces, opinion pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it helps
So
to have.
I've got nothing to gain for saying my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to have like the ideas fleshed out over the course of a long conversation rather than just here's your 2 minutes to talk on air.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. I definitely wouldn't listen to this podcast to try and get any kind of news. Maybe some stuff. About the
Please do
music
not get
industry,
music
but-
industry information from us.
Yes.
Because I think the beginning of our conversation.
It's all just
Total
shit
guess.
talk. Yeah, we're just trying to
It
figure it out.
sounded like it checked out.
It's speculation.
But,
All right. So my unpopular opinion is Fernet is not good.
I
for
I
the
agree
Bucks,
with you. I agree.
The what?
Leonard Fournette.
The alcohol.
The alcohol.
What are you talking about?
It's a drink.
Never heard of it.
It's real bad.
Fernet.
Fernet.
What does it taste like?
Like if Jaeger had a
Cologne.
shit ton of spices on there, or cologne. Yeah.
Fernet. Is there a special? Is that the name of the
Yeah.
liquor, or is that like the?
There's like a couple different versions of it. Fernet.
Yeah.
That right there, Blanc or whatever.
Oh.
It's Italian. They drink it like it's like a dessert drink or whatever. I don't understand how it's a dessert drink. It is so bitter and gross.
That's what they were drinking like the whole time in Casablanca. Blanca, sorry. I kept on doing that the whole night.
Blanca.
Yeah, I know. When I moved down to Florida from Kentucky, I got made fun of so hard at a Mexican restaurant from my friends because I wanted a chimichanga. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Not culture. We got hard A's.
Hard A's.
And so yeah, Casablanca. Sorry. But that's what they were drinking the whole time in Casablanca. Those little guys. What? Why are you laughing? Did I say it wrong again?
Better than
hard R's. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's a hard A.
Yeah. So, anyways, about Fernet.
That's what they were drinking like the whole time in that movie with Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah. Well, you've never had it before?
No, I've never had it.
You've had it before, yeah?
Can we get some later? What's up?
No.
Oh, apparently not. Yeah, you said you don't like it. All right.
So I first tried it when I was down south, and my friend, who he's like Argentinian or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, this is what we drink after desserts and whatever." And so I tried it, and I thought it was gross back then. And my friend Matt started drinking it like all the time because he thought he was trying to be cultured, and it was also terrible. And so one time when I was in California a few years ago, I got like I was out with my siblings. We hadn't seen each other in a long time, and so I got very, very drunk. And they went to a karaoke bar, and I don't know what was going through my head. I was like, "Fuck this place! This is the reason why I'm not getting work. Is this one karaoke bar in San Francisco?" So I was like, "Fuck this! It makes no sense." I was drunk.
Yeah.
So I walked to the place next door, and the bartender was like, "I need to see your ID." I ordered a drink, and then she saw the Jacksonville address, and she was like, "Oh, well, I'm from Tampa," and I was like, "Cool, 4 hours away from me. That's real close." Again, I didn't even say that. I was just like thinking to myself because I was being drunk and stupid. She was like, "You want a shot of Fernet since we're both from Florida?" And I was like,
That's a Florida drink?
"No, it's not." I don't know why she said it, but it was for some reason, that drink was very relevant in my life at that time. And I don't know why she brought it up, but she gave me a shot of Fernet, and that was the end of my night. Like, my brother found me like in the bathroom, like just not in a good space. And ever since then, I haven't had a shot of it or anything. It's disgusting.
Do you get real drunk off it or something?
No, we had been drinking since like noon, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. We were drinking like heavy.
I think it is really strong though.
Yeah.
It's gross.
But do you think it was because you were drinking all night and then you had that Fernet and that's why you don't like Fernet?
But I don't like Fernet. Even before that, I didn't like it. I don't know why I accepted the shot. Probably because it was free, and I was like, "Yeah, you know about Fernet? Okay, let's drink it." And then that was it.
I literally thought you were saying Leonard Fournette.
I don't know who that is.
He was our #1 draft pick in 2018 for the Jags.
It's a baseball team.
Okay.
What's your unpopular opinion?
My unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should have thought about this before I came here.
No pressure. If you don't have one, it's all good. Todd didn't have one earlier either. He was like, "My unpopular opinion is just I'm non-confrontational, man."
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
Dang.
I know you got one.
I'm sure I have a lot.
Yeah.
It is hard when you got to be put on the spot about it.
I don't like indie music.
You like indie music?
Indie music? All right.
I can see some of that. There's some of it that I like, but Mac DeMarco maybe is like not a great example.
I don't like that. Can I retract? I don't like Mac DeMarco.
You don't like Mac DeMarco?
And like 9 million people do. So I would say that that's an
No,
opinion.
that was, I think it was like 275.
Well, that's how many plays it had, but yeah.
Those are all individual plays.
Yeah.
Right? From around the world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel you. I'm not a big fan either. I don't see the hype. It's not that it's bad. It's just like, is it worth having several songs or a lot of songs or almost 300 million plays? It's a little excessive for what he's putting out.
I think it's amazing, and yeah, it's definitely unpopular. Indie. Well, because now you just said Mac DeMarco now, so but
Yeah.
that indie genre, like, it's so many different bands and styles and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and I actually retract because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if I'm really familiar with the genre really too much. Isn't Mazzy Star considered indie?
Mazzy Star.
I don't know who that is. Sorry.
What?
I've heard the name. I don't know any of the songs. But
Okay, well, I love her, so I mean,
Maybe.
maybe I just didn't define the genre very well, but
Indie rock was like back in like the late 90s.
She's late 90s.
Yeah. Like Fiona Apple, that kind of era.
Okay, so then I do like it.
Yeah.
Fiona Apple's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
Fiona
Whatever happened,
Apple,
come back.
Mazzy Star, alternative indie. I like indie.
I'm sorry. I
Hope
don't know.
Sandoval. Oh, you guys are about to get talk about inspired.
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I think it's pretty unpopular.
Yeah.
So I really like it.
Well, what are you
Whatever.
going to do? Sailor Jane, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah,
This is a lot
you're
of fun.
welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you check out the GoFundMe. Where do they find the GoFundMe at?
Facebook.
Facebook. GoFundMe. Support the new endeavor that we can't know anything about just yet, other than it's a tribute album. And hopefully we'll circle back in 3 months
Yeah.
and we'll discuss it some more. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Adios, muchachos.